G'day guys, Tillis20 here and welcome back to Marble Mountain. Today's episode is going to be kicked off with a time lapse. I'm trying to basically increase the population of Montana because we are still very much lacking in residents, and I'm kind of conscious that I can't really develop any more industry until I get a bit more of a population going on. And at some stage I do want to start working on the downtown too, so we're kind of lucky that we do need a bit of commercial. So they're the two things I'm going to be focusing on over the next couple of episodes. So today's going to be kicked off with a time lapse as I basically try to increase that. And around the 10-minute mark I'm going to dive into a live play, and I'm going to start mapping out where I want the main light rail system to operate. Though it's not going to be totally permanent, I'm pretty much just going to be figuring out where stations are going to happen, and you know, at some stage when we have all the road networks and know where suburbs are, then we can really start getting into the light rail system, because basically there's not really any point doing that just yet, as we're still very much developing the city and probably will be for a really long time. But even still, it's still really fun to start working out the light rail system, which you can actually see me sort of playing with the levels right now. Before I start talking about everything I'm doing in the time lapse, I'm actually creeping up to my 2-year anniversary on YouTube, which is crazy because it feels like yesterday when I first started my YouTube channel. But I am getting close to my 2 years, which is awesome. And to celebrate that, we're going to be giving away 3 DLCs at random to anybody who is following me on YouTube, on Twitter, and is part of my Discord group. If you tick all 3 of those boxes, then you have a chance of winning one of those DLCs, and if you are not following me on any of those things, then all those links are in the description below. All this has been made possible by Eduardo, who got in touch and donated the DLCs, which is amazing. No one asked him to, he just very kindly donated them. So massive thanks to Ed, much appreciated. And it's basically to celebrate 2 years on YouTube and to basically say thanks to everyone who's been supporting me over the years. It's been really an amazing journey, and I've loved making YouTube videos, and pretty stoked to be on 40,000 subscribers at the moment. All made possible from you guys, so thank you so much to all that. And also the Q&A on Discord will be closing pretty shortly, so if you haven't asked me any questions yet, maybe go and do that too while you're on Discord, and I'll be addressing all those, well, a lot of the questions in a video sometime pretty soon. And to be honest, I do have a few more announcements that I'm going to make in the time lapse, but I do just want to quickly talk about what I'm doing at the moment on screen, because you can probably see me dragging around this road that I am stretching along the river. Now, this was kind of like an afterthought when I was creating the layout for this downtown area, and I sort of imagined that, you know, in order for this area to be realistic, downtowns next to water usually have some sort of wharf or dock, whether it's being used still or maybe it's from, you know, like 100 years ago when the city was getting a lot of cargo coming in from the water. These days, a lot of the wharfs around the downtowns aren't operating as cargo wharves anymore. They're usually operated as like residential areas that have been refurbished, and maybe like art spaces. So I kind of think I might do something like that around here, but I haven't really quite. It was really honestly just an afterthought, and I just decided to drag that road around. And I think I will probably end up placing in maybe some industry around there, but I do think that if there's going to be any wharfs or docks around there, I think they're probably going to be more refurbished wharfs that are now turned into houses and commercial and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know if I'm going to be working there for like a while, but if you do have any ideas for that little area, I think that would be quite a cool thing to be doing. I did something similar in Springwood, but I think I'll be able to execute it a lot better in this series because, you know, it's like 2 years since I was working on that one, and I'm pretty keen to get into that area. And oh man, you can see me doing something really cool here. Is this backyard baseball pitch. This thing turned out so awesome. You're going to see a lot more of this in the live play at the end. Actually, speaking of the very end of the video, okay, so all this has been shot in 1080p, and you know that's always been the resolution for my videos. I've recently just bought 2 4K monitors, which is out of control. It was really just a ridiculous purchase, but I am having zero regrets on that, to be honest. I love the damn things, and at the very end of this video you will see some cinematics that are all shot in 4K. Now, this will be uploaded in 1080p, but I'm interested to see if there's any difference between the resolution of this and the cinematics at the very end. Let me know if you can see anything. I haven't shot those cinematics yet, but I'm just about to. And I feel like, you know, just looking at my screen right now, I think it's going to shoot a lot better. So be interested to see, and let me know if you do notice it. The next episode is going to be like half 4K and half 1080 because I've already recorded a bit of it. But yeah, expect the rest of my videos to be in 4K, which is pretty exciting, but I'll talk a little bit more about that down the track too. Now, I've just finished building a little suburb that is kind of close to the downtown, but it's still more of just a lower density area, you know, more of those just regular suburbs. Now we're starting to get into more of the downtown sort of suburbs, and at the moment I haven't really worked on any residential areas just yet. What you see me working on now is a university. I put in like a little bit of detail work into this uni, but honestly I wasn't really worried too much about making this university campus to be anything too crash hot. I was honestly just plopping it down because we needed some higher education of the residents in Montana to occupy some of the better industrial areas. So I really needed a university, and I thought this place would be a pretty good spot for it. So I I mean, you saw me just sort of splice it into a couple of commercial, I think actually might be office buildings, which sort of work in the sort of whole scheme of things. And I changed the color of those office blocks with a mod, and I think it fits in with a theme pretty well. I mean, it's just like average. I reckon I'll probably make another university at some stage, but you know, I'm not trying to make anything in this series, you know, represent like what American unis look like or what Australian universities look like. It's just what it is. But I think it works, and I think it looks pretty cool, and actually a Bob from Patreon creates a pretty cool space next to it, which works really nicely. So you know, that's a nice complementary area too. And what you see me working on now is the first residence of this downtown area, and I'm really just trying to figure out exactly what the downtown residents look like, and with like what I can choose from the vanilla assets. This is pretty much all I have to choose from in terms of townhouses and what residents would look like in a place like this. You know, we're really after the very highly dense buildings that aren't skyscrapers. They're still like townhouses and little units, and I really wanted to stay true to that. So this is sort of the best case scenario, and I think that turned out pretty cool. There's definitely models that look far better than others, but you know, in terms of what I wanted to achieve in this area, it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And now I'm moving on to developing a little bit more of the highway buildings around here. And I call them the highway buildings because they've got a much different structure of architecture than, I guess, the residents and the very much block units that are around this area. So I just put down this theater, it's an art museum. This is probably one of my favorite looking vanilla assets. I think this building looks amazing. I'm probably going to use it in all my series, to be honest. It's just an awesome looking building. There's a whole bunch of really awesome looking buildings, to be honest, that you're going to see me use quite a lot of. There's a ton I've never even used before. You know, I guess scrolling through the assets in this series is so different to what I usually do in my other series because, you know, I'm pretty much so limited with what I can use. I'm just trying my hardest to find what I can. So I'm probably exploring a lot more different assets that I've never really looked at before. For instance, there's this business park that has this giant arch in it, and I honestly didn't even know that existed until I started working out what the downtown might look like around here, and I was just scrolling through everything that I had, and I found this arch, and I plopped it down. I was like, oh, that's not too bad, but I don't know if it's going to fit. I'm still kind of thinking about it, but it's still a bit like, I don't know if it's going to totally fit in with what my vision is for the downtown of this area. And you know, just finishing off the time lapse, I am working on the buildings that sit around the highway. I think around this particular highway is going to sit mostly buildings that are like theaters and function halls and maybe even the casino eventually. They're going to be more like office blocks and stuff like that. And I'll probably put a little bit of shrubbery and some parks and stuff like that. I don't think the residential areas are going to come too close to it. I'm going to try and sort of separate that with some other like office and more noisier places so that my residents don't complain too much about the noise factor. You know, all that sort of stuff I haven't really thought about in a while. So that's going to be kind of tricky to figure out and work out exactly how to keep my Sims happy because, you know, apparently that matters, which I haven't really thought about before. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But that's pretty much it for the time lapse, and we're going to jump into the live play. I'm going to figure out everything about the light rail system and hopefully map out the general gist of where everything's going to be sitting. I'll see you in a second. So before I dive into a grand tour of everything that I've been building, just take note of my FPS counter up here. I've just left it on so that you can get a bit of an idea of how slow everything's running at the moment, which is such a shame, but we're going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks, checking out some mods and different settings and upgrading my system and all that sort of stuff. But in terms of the actual build, I've made quite a bit of progress. As you can see, the city has expanded quite a lot, which is awesome. I'm going to dive into a couple of areas that I've been working on. So this neighborhood here is a neighborhood that I just wanted to keep somewhat low. There's a couple of townhouses and it's pretty much just a regular old neighborhood. Some points of interest that I really love about it is this little baseball pitch that I've placed behind these houses. I love it. I think it turned out really great. There's some really cool angles you can get with the Bay Bridge as well, which is very cool. When we start seeing the light rail system running around here too, it's gonna be awesome. But yeah, it's just pretty much only for looks. It doesn't actually function. All these are props, and yeah, looks awesome. Especially with these fences, I think these fences really create a lot more realism for the neighborhoods. And yeah, I mean, this whole neighborhood, it's nothing really too amazing. I was trying to keep the detail quite low. Something that I didn't mention in the time lapse is, so with this highway, I've tried to imagine that this highway is a more recent creation in the city. You know, highways have generally haven't been there for the major history of the city. So, you know, we're talking like in the last 50 years, they probably built this highway. So a lot of these roads here were probably once connected, but because of the highways being built, they've now just been turned into cul-de-sacs. So that's sort of my idea behind these cul-de-sacs. As you can see, they do line up to roads, and it's probably more evident around somewhere like this, where these roads do line up. So that's something that I've tried to like keep in the city, a bit of a theme. Only the main roads are still connected, and I'm going to continue doing that pretty much everywhere in this city. But yeah, I mean, this city, this little neighborhood, it's pretty low key. Then we start getting into the more of the downtown area. So here is the university, just in this corner up here, and here is this awesome build that Bob built, and it's raining. Let's get rid of that because we already have some bad. The FPS is bad enough without having some rain just really mucking it up. But yeah, Bob built this. It looks awesome. He actually had a swimming pool here and a gymnasium, but didn't transfer in because he was using Green City's stuff, and I don't have that DLC. So I had to place down these. But there's a whole story behind this whole area that I've pinned in the comments below. So Bob, thanks so much for completing that build for me. And it really complements the university being this really nice outdoor space for the uni students. I built this car park too. And something I didn't do on camera, I've been working on these networks to create these planters to transition the roads into the car parks, and they work so nicely. I think this is something that I'm going to be doing in a lot more other series. Yeah, great, good one. And you know, going on to the highway, and there's just such great levels going on with this light rail and then the road here and then the sunken highway. It looks great. It looks really, really amazing. I love it. Going into the downtown, and we have this building here. I think I'm going to keep it as a museum, which I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So we're starting to get a bit more attraction around here. Some people coming in. And yeah, there's pretty much the start of the downtown. And I get like a San Francisco vibe from these townhouses. Maybe it's also the way that the terrain sort of isn't exactly flat. I don't know. You let me know in the comments below. But I feel like this sort of represents a bit of San Fran more than anything else. But in the time lapse, so in the live play, we're going to be focusing on getting some light rail happening in the city. So just here is pretty much where I want one of the light rail stops to be. It's going to be somewhat of a major stop, this spot, because there's going to be quite a lot to see around here. So that's why I put in a cafe and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to put in a stop about here. And this junction, I'm not really sure about. I don't mind it that much. I don't know how practical it's going to be. We'll just have to see how it goes. So I think there's going to be a stop here. There's going to be a stop around there as well, which I'm not going to place down just yet. And then this line is going to probably go. Yeah, you can see the purple here. So there's going to be a tram network that goes around here. There's probably going to be one that goes around there too. But I'm just going to focus on the one that goes through the highway just for now, just to see if this actually works. So I do want to have a stop just here. And it does mean that I do need to change that. Like that. And then I can probably put a stop down too. And make sure they connect. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And that way that stop's going to serve all these people and all these people too. And I'm going to place the path that goes into the road down here. So you're not really going to see the station. I'll probably have to put a little bit of detail work into that. And then the next stop, I'm thinking, probably won't be until after this junction. I think I'm probably going to place it somewhere around here because, you know, this is quite a major industry area. And then there's going to be a neighborhood around here too. So I think that the most logical place to put another stop would probably be about here. And then that makes sense with this road here too. So I'm going to change because I'm going to do that. Which is, I'm probably going to do quite a bit of detail work to actually get this happening. But I think what I'll probably do for this area, because there's this highway, it's going to make it pretty hard to get a tram stop in there. I think what I could probably do is I could drag a path that goes along here, so it's a bit of a pedestrian bridge, and then have a footpath that connects up to here. I might do all that in a bit of a just off-camera thing, and then I'll show you what I did in a second. Alright, so ended up putting in a lot more work than I expected to be putting into this thing. I am pretty happy with how it turned out, so let me just give you a little bit of a tour. So this turned into a bit of a garden station. It's, you know, far prettier than I would have expected a station in the middle of a industrial area to turn out, but like I said, there will be probably some sort of a neighborhood sitting around here, so it's, you know, does sort of fit the theme. Alright, where can I start? I'll start up here. So I ended up dragging a walkway through here so that people can access the station. I originally had a path connecting down here so that you could see it. However, the paths are far too big and it just looked like it was blocking a lot of the traffic coming on the highways. So I ended up putting the pathway underneath. And it's still clunky and it's not great looking, but, you know, to be honest, you're not going to see it. And that's sort of my, you know, that was my aim, was just to not be able to see that path. But the cool thing is that people can actually access it. And I've put this little roofed area here so that there's, you know, pretend stairs that go down. And I ended up placing down quite a lot of garden beds around here because there was a bit of a dip between the highway and the station platform, so I decided to do that, and I'm not too fussed about it. Like I think I like how gardeny you look. I might even end up calling this station Garden Station. Let me know if you think that's a cool idea. Not sure about these trees. These are vanilla trees, but yeah, I didn't mind them. I thought they were alright. So that's the first station. We're actually going to follow this train along. I wonder how bad the FPS will be. Let's just give this a go. Not too bad. Alright, so this train will then stretch all the way through the highway. Now, there's not very many stations around here because it's a bit more of an express train to the city, if you know what I mean. That's taken far too long. The next station is this one over here, which is situated in the middle of two neighborhoods. And let me just change the direction of the sun. This one I'd put a little less detail into it, but I do love the fact that it just sits in the middle of these two neighborhoods, and there's so many places of access, which is really cool. Same sort of idea. I wanted to have these two stairwells to get people up. The real stairwell is actually underneath here, so that if you want to access the station, you've got to be crossing this road, which makes a bit of sense because there is quite a bit of neighborhoods around here. So, you know, I think that people will be walking through this area quite a lot. And, you know, in terms of foot traffic, we're not getting heaps at the moment, but there's not really much to see in the city at the moment. There's not really a downtown to go and visit. But yeah, I mean, I think what really makes this area, these stations really work, are these benches and also putting in some billboards. Obviously not actually making it work, but in terms of making the realism work, I think it works pretty cool. Hate that they cross around here. That's a real shame. And then following that, we then go over this interchange here, and the next station is this one, which eventually will probably be getting a lot of foot traffic. And I kind of intended it to, you know, I don't mind them walking around here because this is a bit more of an area where people are going to be walking quite a lot around. And yeah, I think it's great looking little area here, and we're going to get quite a lot of foot traffic, like I said, because, you know, we've got this museum, and we're going to have a couple more high density areas that people are going to probably want to get to. And at the moment, this is the closest train station to the university. We will, though, eventually place a train station here where this will be the best access to the university. And then we will, future plans for the light rail system. Let me just get up a map. So at the moment, it's just going through the highway. But eventually I'm thinking, and do let me know if you want to put your 2 cents into this, but eventually I'm thinking of having the network run along this area here, so along the beachfront, and then connecting up to the light rail system just here. So there's gonna be like a bit of a loop going on around here. So that'll make a one loop, pretty much one system. And then there's gonna be another one, I think, that's gonna come around here, and then won't be connected to the road, but will go underneath the road and follow along the same path as this cargo line, which I think will make a pretty cool looking area with the cargo line and also the light rail system. Again, connecting back up here, and there's going to be probably the most extensive system will probably sit around this area here. And that'll pretty much target most areas in the city. Let me know if you think that's not bad of an idea. It's not going to hit Chester Hill, it's not going to hit the main industry around here, just pretty much residents and the commercial district of the downtown. And speaking of the downtown, that's where we're going to be heading in the next episode, probably the next couple of episodes at least. I really want to get a downtown happening, more residents, which is ridiculous. I can't believe how many residents I need to place down in this city. But that's pretty much it for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to leave some nice feedback. That really helps me out a ton. But until next time, have a great week, and I'll catch you in the next episode. See you later.